one that can see.
Logic before authority.
Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority. You know, old school Logic Before Authority. Just me, no guests, no promos, no nothing, just Daniel. And today we are continuing our research for the documentary that I'm going to be coming out with called The Secrets of the Trees. At least at this moment, that is the name that I'm giving it. And so, in trying to research for something like this, when you're mostly just one person doing the research, not completely, because, you know, you get a little help from a few different people here and there, but I have to do all the putting it together and making logical sense out of it so that I can present it at some point in a true high quality documentary that should go big. And so it's going to take quite a bit of research. This is episode 1, but I don't know how many there are going to be for me to be able to finish this. Probably quite a few. So if you want, you can join me as we look into the secrets of the trees. You may wonder why it's so important to understand the secrets of the trees. And I can't answer that other than to say, I know that there is something to be found that is going to be, that will alter the reality of our reality. Now, we've already theorized about a lot of things. We've theorized, and I do believe I'm the first person to ever connect this dot. Now, they may know some of these things, and I think they do know because they've covered up obvious things with obvious lies, like not telling us what this is, this image that you're looking at here, not admitting the truth about what this is. Okay? They would have you believe, and they will tell you that these are basalt columns and that this is volcanic. And they're almost telling the truth, but not quite. They're almost telling the truth. The reason why they're almost is because they're telling you that it's tied to the same thing that a volcano is tied to. You see what I'm saying? And a volcano or volcanoes are remnants of the trees as well. Something else that we're going to be looking at closer also is something that Roxy brought up that is related to something that I brought up, that me and Roxy kind of bounce backwards and forth across subject matter and to make each other think. Like now, they claim this is a crater. Now, a crater, the word tor should tell you something about what this is or what created this. Tor is the first word or the first syllable of orus. Rus means to move. Okay. And Tor is also related to that. Okay, Rus is kind of like almost like a spinning syllable. Tor is like a tourist, you know. Now, this doesn't look like a tour or like it's touring or doing anything, but it's related to a hidden secret. And we likely will end up coming back to the craters. You'll notice this looks just like all the ones on the moon, as they say, the craters of the moon. Yet, every one of these that are on planet Earth are all very similar to this. They're all pretty much perfectly round, like as if the meteor, similar to crater, the meteor would have had to have come straight down from above and hit straight into the ground, just like if you took a rock and threw it straight down, and it'll make a perfect circle. If that rock comes from an angle, it will not make a perfect hole in the ground. It makes an oblong hole. But none of these are like that, are they? None of the ones on the moon are like that, are they? No, they're not. Now this is an image that I've kind of shown y'all guys before. And the understanding of these things is finally catching on. You see, this is a YouTuber, goes by The Woods Show. You can pull it up, and I haven't watched this complete video yet, but he obviously has heard an echo from my work. Because what is this? Well, they say it's a volcano. It's not active as in exploding and lava pouring out, but in the bottom of it, there is, they claim that it's active, meaning, and they say that this is a volcano. Now you can see, if you allow your eyes to tell you what you're looking at a tree stump, a very large one, but actually small in comparison to some of the ones that are on Earth. But this one, because of the way it has been preserved, you might say, is very obvious. You can see the tree roots running out still in all directions. You can see in the background there is a river that runs right through here. Okay. And because these trees, these massive trees, just like it talks about in the Bible, they would need great river systems to supply the water. And a lot of that water supply would have been coming in underground. Now, it would not be surprising much that you would find like a lake or a pond in the bottom of this, because this is like a perfect thing to catch rainwater, right? But there's also hot water coming up from below in the lake that's down in here. Okay. And it's way down in there. This is kind of hollowed out, like a lot of old stumps. They'll rot out in the middle. And ultimately that's what's happened to this one, either rotting out or transmutation over many, many, many years, thousands, I'm sure. When maybe this tree stump was actually active and still producing more lava, as they call it. So, let's see. I think I got a few other images. That one's really small, so is that one. blow this one up a little bit so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Ultimately, I'm going to have to hunt down any images I use like this. For instance, I have to hunt down a very high resolution, either image or video, and that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort to be able to pull that off. Here's another one, a little bit more, even more obvious. This one has all the what they call basalt columns, which are tree fibers. It's the fibers of the wood that remains. And you see down below these trees are all the root systems that go way into the earth. And depending on the type of tree and its makeup, some of these trees would have turned into what we call fat wood or lighter wood, which is very high and smells just like gasoline. I've got some out in the backyard, and stores all that energy down there. But I'm not here today to really, you might say, prove the concept. What I'm here today to do is do the research. So that's what we're going to do. It was also curious to me, I'll mention for a second, that the tree of life that you see here and what they call Norse mythology projections of this was someone's version of what our world symbolically looks like. Okay? And you have a giant tree or tree stump that sits in the center. And down below, and I'm not saying this is depicted exactly right, but you can see what they're depicting. Okay? But its symbolism is what's being depicted there. For the Feast of Trumpets, one of the things they really focused on was the tree of life. And I found that very interesting. And this is a depiction of the tree of life. It's an 11th century tree of life sculpture. There's a bunch of others. This is a carpet tree of life in Iran. This is a Judaic Kabbalah tree of life. This is from Western Mexico, found in a shaft tomb showing a multi-layer tree with birds and just a very interesting depiction of something that looks kind of like a torus, which is what a tree also looks like. This is on the flag of Chavasia, a Turkic state. This is the logo for the Ministry of Culture and Tourism in Turkey. It represents the tree of life. And this is the 1847 depiction I showed you a while ago of the Norse Yggdrasil as described in the Icelandic Prose Edda. '17th century depiction, tree of life. Question is this related to a great secret that I'm going to find as I dig into all of this much further? And yes, I think it will. I'm very confident that it will. I'm going to pull up, just closing these windows. I already have the images saved that I wanted to save. Let's go back over here to where we're going to be doing our research here in a second. Close those windows, just no need for them there. And this was another one, but it would not allow me to open the photo. See there, it's 3 multi-layered with all these orbs floating around on the limbs like a fruit hanging from a fig tree at the tip of a limb, yet the tree is invisible and is held together by frequency, sound. And that one's a little graphic. Let me show you this one first. Some of you have seen this before. I've even shown it. This is the symbolism for the tree of life, kind of like a amulet that some people wear, like on a necklace or something. Amulet on a necklace, and you can see how your fingerprints match up the wood grain in a tree, and what they symbolize is frequency. Okay, of course, we know that our touch is frequency based, and our smell, and our taste, and our hearing. But what we don't realize, or what most people don't realize, is the power that is in your hands and why all those little lines are on there. The hands are way more powerful than what we realize. On the right here, of course, you can see a tree limb hanging down on the right-hand side here, and the lung, inside the lung, you can see that they are very similar. Our bodies are very similar. We have limbs. We have 4 limbs. And then we have twigs called fingers and toes. And we have a trunk or a torso as well. Then this right here is the placenta from a birth of a child, as you can see. And here's the more graphic photo, the tree of life, depicted right literally on the placenta from a birth of a child. And not that this is related, but I'll share it. You remember the whole idea of, or the saying of, let them eat cake. It's like a queen in a high place, and she says, let them eat cake. What she was actually saying is because this is referred to as a cake as well. And so what she was referring to is let them eat their own afterbirth. Let them eat cake. Like if you look at this, it's obviously looks kind of like a pancake, right? A grotesque looking one, but still a pancake. That's what they mean by that. Let's see here. Where are we going? We're working our way back over here to the left, where we're going to start doing some more research, actually putting some things together for the rest of this live today. This is another depiction of the tree. It's of course, you got your giant tree stump in the middle, the branches of the trees all around, what looks like a firmament, and you either have what looks like ice or icebergs all the way around circling the outside. And these are depictions from the past that other thinkers have thought up when they were trying to understand what I am going to understand. Lord willing, Father allows me, He will show me the real secrets of the trees. And it's just a matter of time. Let's see here. Just save that right there. This, I think, let's close this for a second. Okay, this is was reference to that photo we were just looking at. So we'll get there. This is tree resin. And I already have it saved. This is tree resin with an insect captured inside. So a drip. This is literally like gasoline, yet with a more complex makeup. This is the blood of the tree. You see? And this stuff here, this resin, for thousands of years, people have been collecting tree resin, like for maple syrup, to make glue, to make all kinds of things that you can make from it. And it is related. Now, when you're going to do the research on something like this, and there's only mainly one, yourself, and you've got to pull all this information together, you have two options. One is individually search everything and every idea for yourself, or unfortunately, you can use what they've created called AI. And I don't like AI, but I also don't like money. And I know some of you would say that I shouldn't use AI at all. Here's the problem. I cannot use it or try to not use it, but it's using me. And we're using it. Everyone listening right now is using AI. Whether you realize it or admit it, you are. It's on all of our phones. It's on all of our computers. If you even run a Google search, you're using AI. Okay. What it does for me, because this is all I type of thing I would use it for, is go out and pull together a bunch of information at one time for me. And then, of course, I have to use my logic and reason and research, additional research, to be able to double prove anything that I'm getting from this thing, because it will lie to you. I've seen it lie many times at this point. It will lie. And it will deceive too. So I started out and I asked it a question. And I'll read it to you. It says, I need help writing a script for a theoretical documentary. It will look at all the similarities between legendary giant trees of old and the volcanoes of today, along with the theory of the sap of the said giant trees being the source also of oil, coal, and natural gas, as well as the alchemical transmuted remains of said trees as the manifestation of what we call volcanoes today. I need you to gather all related materials to help produce the script and the links to images and chemical makeups of mentioned items to show during the theoretical documentary. Take extra time to research this carefully, as you as if you were an investigator looking for all the angles to show the possibility this could be true. Focus on helping me prove the theory and not telling me why it's not true or not current science, please. So it starts coming back and produces quite a bit of stuff. I haven't went through all of it yet. We're going to work through some of it today here together. It said, great. I repeated your brief and dove in like an investigator. Below you'll find compact research packet you can use to construct a documentary script that explores and builds the case from many angles that legendary giant trees, their sap/resins, and later geological processes might be connected to coal, oil, gas, and even volcanic manifestations. I focused on materials, images, and chemical references you can quote or show on screen. I did not debunk. Instead, I gathered the mainstream science you can use to build your narrative and alternative lines of evidence, historical notes you'll likely want to highlight. So, when you're using something that you know can be deceptive or lie, you have to think about what it's giving you and why it's giving you this and so on. So what it first went into here is just a little bit of a script that it was kind of like giving me something to kind of come out the hole with and talking, but that's not exactly what I'm going to do. Let's skip down here to number 2, research angles and evidence you'll want to show with sources. Myth and cultural evidence, giant world trees as near universal motif. Number 2, fossil trees / petrified forests, direct geological remnants of ancient giant trees. Resins and amber, chemistry of tree sap resin and its fossil products. Okay. Like it says, plant resins are dominated by terpenes and deterpenoids. Amber is fossilized resin with terpenoid molecular skeletons. This gives you a chemical pathway from living sap to durable organic micro molecules. And it's kind of giving you hints like, use good visuals, molecular drawings of terpenes and amber close-ups, which is where, like that comes from. Okay. And so I have to gather together, all that kind of stuff. But we're going to move more quickly through this and then decide where we're going to focus on here today. It says kerogen, the macromolecular organic material that generates oil and gas. Kerogen is the insoluble organic material in sediments under heat pressure. Some kerogens generate crude oil and gas. The oil window concept. Kerogens' variable elemental ratios and molecular complexity are key to connecting plant-derived matter and petroleum. Show charts of the kerogens, GC and MS biomarker images. And so it'll give you a link to some of this stuff, and you can pull it up and see what it's kind of talking about. And I have to decide, is that a direction I want to go? Is this something that builds the story in a logical, credible manner? And I also have to watch out for not just seeing what I want to see. I have to, at the same time of trying to prove myself right, I have to also make sure to be aware that I need to also prove myself wrong if possible. But at this point, I have not seen anything yet that has turned me away from knowing I'm going in the right direction. So these are, says kerogen can be found in shell or oil shell. Okay. Just looking at their images here because we may end up using some of this. And again, this is this kind of content here on YouTube or Rumble or wherever you're watching from, maybe Facebook or about 4 or 5 other places possibly. This is not for entertainment. This is for those who are interested in looking into really deep things. Okay. So this is talking about a carbon cycle. And you have to watch out for, of course, propaganda and everything else. But with a careful, logical mind, we should be able to put together what we're looking for. Okay. So let's keep going here. This is structure of porphyrin compound extracted from petroleum. Okay. Kerogen cycle it's talking about. And I don't know what all of any of this I will ultimately be using because I've got to come back and literally pour through all of this reading it, but I'm not going to do that to y'all guys at the moment. Let's see here. Go ahead and go back to our document over here. And let's click on the tree resin thing. This is where I got that photo from. And it says there's 7 photos here. It says this is a cedar of Lebanon home showing flecks of resin as used in mummification. So you may have seen, well, you see how this resin here has the insect in it, and it what's the word I'm looking for? Preserves, maybe? Encapsulates, protects, and that's why they used it for mummification. Okay. So then we ultimately have to pull up the mummification and we start looking at that. Now, speaking of mummification, I've got something else I want to show you. This isn't it, but I'll show you here. Actually, a little video that I just randomly getting ready to do this, ran across today. There we are. We're nice and live. Good, good, good. We want to look. Actually, I've got to switch channels here, switch accounts. Let's go down to, I'm looking for my Logic Before Authority account. Channel removed. Not that one. This one here. And yeah, I've got a bunch of old channels that I pretty much, almost none of them I use. But I just different ideas I came up with at different times over the last 10 years. Okay, so now let's look at my watch later videos. What I'm gonna find. I guess I can use history to pull it up real quick. Yeah, here it is.
A sign. The family must depart.
Sorry. Gotta watch the ad. Alright, come on, come on. And I just don't think it was a coincidence that I ran across this today. There's not really any talking or anything going on, So I'm not going to even have the audio on. It's going to play the video, and I'm going to fast forward it a little bit here. Let me see what resolution we're in. Are we in the highest resolution we can get? Yeah, unfortunately we are. Okay, let's keep going. Now we're in like a cave or some kind of an underground complex, right? And it's pretty boring so far, as you can see. But wait till we get in that back room back there. I'm going to forward us forward over and over a little bit till we get to where we're headed back there in that back room. Deep holes, cavernous. Looks like stuff we've seen in the Middle East somewheres. I don't know if this is in Iran. I don't know if this is in Israel. I don't know where this is at. And there's no information that tells where it is or where it came from. It's a 10-year-old video that the channel only uploaded one video. That's all they uploaded was one video. And it has like 5.7 million views, but it's 10 years old and it has something very unique about it, which is why it ended up getting all the views that it got to date. You can notice there's something going on back there in that back room. I'm fixing to go there. It's like a sarcophagus, right? And a bunch of bones. And I don't know why he's focusing on this money. I guess that's, oh, wait a minute. That should be a reference point as to where this is. Does anybody know what country that money comes from? Obviously, it ain't American. Okay, take a look at that. Where does that come from? I'm going to check the comments here in just a minute. He's going to turn the money over. And I would assume if that piece of money was there, that's based on the country it's in. It says 5 pounds. But then it has what looks like, I don't know, Arabic or something. I know one of you guys know. I just don't know. So where is that? That looks like, that type of building looks like, obviously, Middle East. Looks like, almost makes me think Iran. But I don't know for sure. But one of you will. Why he's really focusing on the money, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure why this video was put out and why it's only one video with no information about it. Obviously, we got multiple sarcophagus. I can't even say it. When your tongue gets hung on a word and it won't say it. And we've got statues. A lot of really strange stuff. And if this ain't real, I mean, it sure looks like something that's been under the earth for thousands of years. Put in the comments anything that you see that tells you something about who this was, whose tomb this is, and where it was at. Now, is that basically saying Egypt? Just a scarab beetle. Okay. Of course, that's, in general, that's considered to be Egyptian, but the whole area over there around from Iran to Egypt and Israel and all that was all kind of tied to some of this symbolism. So I'm thinking, Egypt, Israel, y'all guys tell me. Matter of fact, let me look at the comments real quick and see what y'all guys are saying. Somebody said, Kim Blanchard said Iraqi dinar. But you're guessing, you're saying. Carol says Egypt. Wayne DePayne says, looks real to me. Yep, does look real. Charlene Woodard says, the image shows an Iraqi 10,000 dinar banknote from the post-2003 series. Sounds like Charlene may actually know what she's talking about. Okay. So we are looking at an Iraqi dinar. Now, if we're looking at that, Roxy Piles should know what I'm thinking. Is there was a time around 2001 and a couple of years thereafter where, well, the United States decided to go to Iraq, and rumor has it one of the first things they did was go here to certain places and collect certain preserved DNA. Now, how would DNA be preserved? Ring a bell? And also the information about the mummification thing. No, I didn't open that one time. Let's open it again. Yeah. Using resin, using tree resin to preserve bodies of ancient kings. Now, Gilgamesh is one of his names. It seemed to make some sense that may be who they went after. Now, I'm not saying this is Gilgamesh's tomb, because I don't know. But I'm curious. Even if this isn't Gilgamesh's tomb, this shows you that those kind of places did exist. What do you reckon that bullhead, what do you reckon that's all made out of? Reckon that's solid gold? Or would they have went the cheap way and did gold plating? I don't think they did gold plating back then. And then you got these. And they're unique blue. What does anybody know about this stuff? Okay. And you may think we're off down a wild rabbit hole looking at this and talking about mummification and preservation, yet we're supposed to be talking about the secrets of the trees, right? Well, I think that this is part of some of those secrets. Okay. Yet we don't know what we're looking at yet. All the jugs. What's in these jugs? I mean, I'm curious. These giant jugs all sitting around. Wouldn't you like to have one of those? Or maybe you wouldn't. I'm not sure. I thought about it earlier. It's like, oh man, if I could just get one of those or something. I said, wait a minute. I don't think I want anything like that in my house. The carnal mind kicked in there for a second. It gets even more interesting here in a minute. I'll stop it every once in a while so you can kind of see what we're looking at here. And I'm wanting to see what I'm looking at. I mean, this is all the images that we've seen them claim that area of the world used back then and created for various reasons, like Horus. This looks like a Horus kind of thing. Falcon-headed god with the orb above his head. And this stuff looks like it's solid gold too. Just laying around on the floor. Gajillions of dollars worth of gold. And the walls themselves are probably full of it. Some of this seems like it fell right out the wall. And can't help but wonder why do this? I mean, obviously they had a different way completely of looking at everything than we do now. Probably some ways much more intelligent, yet in some ways much more the opposite. And look at the floor. It's lined with gold idols, basically. Something in the image of a man or woman, this kind of thing. Or deities, image of deities. And now we're going to start looking a little closer at the sarcophagus. It's, yeah, I almost said it. There's an image of this at the airport in Denver out front. Look at these things. All this is gold. This ain't fake stuff. This ain't fake stuff like they have today. And somebody has this. Somebody has all of this. Somewheres. Because I doubt they could resist their greedy fingers of hauling all that gold out of there. Back that up. Check out the colors and the images. There's Isis. What's her name that has the Isis tattoo on her chest? Sang at the Super Bowl a few years ago when she was pregnant. She has Isis tattooed. Is it above her breasts or below? Something like that. You about have to wonder sometimes, can't help but wonder if there's a reincarnation thing going on with these people. Because they want to stay in this world and continue to be in power. And I don't know if reincarnation is even possible or not. So I'm not a proponent or against the concept of understanding it. I don't know. There's a reason why this video came up. And you might say I'm looking for it. And some ways I've already found it. Knowing that they used the tree resin to petrify a human being. Holding like two things in his hands. One is like a hook cane, and the other one is like, reminds me of almost like a pine cone. One on the right here, but actually reminds me, they're called the some of our modern electrical equipment use something that looks very similar to this. They're normally made out of porcelain, and they're used on light lines and things like that. Can't think of the name of it. Now I wonder, I wouldn't think that this whole sarcophagus is solid gold, but obviously there's some gold elements to it, but who knows? One thing is pretty creepy. Look at all the gold just covered in dust stuff everywhere. Bajillions of dollars. Look at all set back here in the background on the right. And things from it fall, all this stuff is coming down, falling out of the walls. All these gold statues, just all in these walls. It's like they used gold to bury this person, whoever this thing was. See right there? They're all stacked in there. They've dug it out, but they're all stacked up in there like gold bricks. And they're like statues. And they're everywhere, all in the walls. The whole thing is gold and dirt, basically. It makes up the walls of this cavern. Insane. Okay? We'll check back in the comments here in just a minute. Now, how this is going to end up linking into the secret of the trees. Sometimes you can't allow yourself to overthink why you're seeing something, why something has come to you to see. If you understand what I'm saying. I don't know who did the paint job on this, but for it to last as long as it has, that's a pretty good job. Check that out. Just a giant gold statue laying on the floor. His leg broke off. What is that? These look like alligators coming out of a gold tub. What is this on the left? That right there. Strange looking. Oh, gotta watch a commercial. Gonna get another look at another sarcophagus or a statue here in a second. Look at the colors. This is very low resolution. This is only 240p. But still amazingly good at 240p. Look at the colors that's somehow still in some of this stuff. Really strange. How'd you like to show up to this estate sale? Statues covered in dust and dirt everywhere, made out of solid gold, and this blue color keeps showing up. I think that's just their lighting system up there on the roof. Yeah. Would have been nice if he'd turned the lights on. There's that blue color again. Now he's gonna look at the statue, I think. Okay, that looks like 5 toes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got that blue hue to it again in some places. Got the serpent on the head. Looks like he's got his hand in a fist. Got something in his hand. Same over here. And he takes a look at the back, which is interesting too. And it's like when you run into this while you're doing the research on trees, I know it's kind of like, ooh, squirrel. And you go run off checking out something else. But I got a feeling this is going to play back in, and I don't know how exactly, other than the fact of the mummification process in using the resin. But what does that mean? Where is it going to lead me? I don't know. All the symbols on the back. Look at this guy over here on the left. The yellow or gold looking skirt, whatever they called it. I mean, I don't know about y'all guys, but this is like some of the most real looking actual footage of a tomb I've ever seen. Maybe there's some better somewheres, but just somebody actually just walking around filming. Most nothing's even been touched. I mean, there's not even any fingerprints on this stuff where the dust has been disturbed. Been sitting there for thousands of years. What's that? Like a long looking head. Calf, maybe? Maybe. It looks like Obama. Or Michael. 2, 3, 4, 5. Counting toes. I mean, just think these days, oh, he actually touched that and turned it around. These days, someone passes and an average funeral, let's say cheap funeral, $10,000, right? Maybe you can get it done cheaper. Plus, just so you know, if a man dies and he has no family, who they gonna give the bill to? He's still gonna get processed. Still gonna go back to dust. Never understood why there was such process just to bury somebody. I know it's for the living, but how about in this case? Look at all what they did just to make one single statue like this would take how long? And how many people? And this is one cave. I think there were 2 sarcophagus. I can't even say it again. In here. At least 2. This is about over. Got it all lined in back there. Crazy. They had to, this is all hand done. They didn't have factories making dolls. It's all done by hand. Just to bury a man. Or maybe a man and a woman. I don't know. That blue keeps showing up, of course. And lots of gold. I wonder what the blue is. I'll have to find out. Probably maybe one of your guys know. Yep. That is just wild. Let's close that so it won't be using up my resources. So, down that rabbit hole we went because of this. The flecks of resin used in the mummification of pharaohs. And it said this comes from what kind of a tree? Cedar. Cedars of Lebanon. Some more resin that I need to download an image of. Needs to go in here. It's called extremely viscous resin extruding from the trunk of a mature Araucaria calamus. Okay. See, we need to understand the components that exist in these different types of trees, what the resin is made up in it of it, what makes it unique for each type of tree. Like a cedar is an obvious one to be watching after. Trying to think of the name of the other tree. The one that has heels, or excuse me, knees. It has knees, the cedar, a specific type. They grow in the swamps and wetlands, that kind of a thing. Another good image. Let's download that. Almond tree. Resin of an almond tree. Basically pure sunlight. And you'd have millions and millions of gallons of this sitting under the earth, sitting in the roots and root ball of trees that were absolutely massive. Massive beyond your ability to even consider it. Even kind of looks like blood, don't it? And that is a says it's gum or mucilage, but it's obviously resin mixed in there. Very interesting. And these are the kind of things you guys normally never see me doing, is this kind of stuff I have to go through, analyze, consider. This says resin of pine. Now in the South, down here, we have something called, I'll use this tab to pull it up. We have something called lighter wood or fat wood. Fat meaning it's rich. Fat wood. Let's look at the images. Okay. Fat wood. It's wood that is got a lot of resin in it. And when you break a little piece off, it smells like gasoline. Like this here, for instance. Smells like gasoline when you break it off. And it's extremely flammable. Catches fire very, very easy. You know, like a normal stick in the yard or something you pick up. You can get it to burn, but you gotta get it going, right? Not this stuff. This stuff, it's very flammable. And normally it's found in like the root ball is really where it's at. And like when a tree gets old and starts rotting or it's falling down or whatever, and all you got left is the stump, all that resin would drain down into that stump and into the root system, and you can dig it up. Root ball. Root. Root ball. Looking for a good example of it. Probably this one up here is about as good as you're going to get. It's something like that. Like I say, I've got a piece about as big as this image here in my backyard back there in my shed. And it smells just like gasoline. That's an interesting image. Is that real? Kind of hard to say. It don't look exactly right. Not sure on that one. See what I'll do. Do a Google search on it and see where it came from. Track matches. I don't know if that's an actual real image. Maybe. It's an interesting image. Wow. That can't be real, can it? This stuff is like extremely sticky. I don't know if that's a real image. Definitely eye-catching. So it's crystalline. And it can take a crystalline structure, the resin, apparently. It looks like a pretty good image. Where a limb's been cut off of a bigger tree and the sap is bleeding out. I'll save that image. In fact, I might keep that open. See what else we got here. Bunch of resin photos. We've all seen trees when they get injured, they bleed. Right? It's like liquid fire, liquid sunshine. And if you had enough of this in a large enough tree existing under the ground, all that pressure from the weight of everything around, all that heat that this would generate would be like a massive bomb waiting to erupt one day. You see, my theory isn't looking so fantastical anymore, is it? Nope. a quick search on this image. See if I can find a higher quality one. Like the way that you can see. We only got one. Oh, here's another one. More. I need high resolution. You see, even this tree here, if the trees hold the secrets that I think they do, this image right here should tell us something about the big picture. You see, as a tree grows, continuously grows an inner core over and over, producing a new circle. And then that circle, over time, in the case of the tree normally, is 1 year. And that circle continues to be pushed outward, continues to grow. But when this tree was small, these outer rings were the inner rings. But it continues to expand outwards. Are you seeing anything with that thought process? Does it make you think about the way our reality may function? The new growth comes in the center. The further you go out in these rings, the longer they have been there, the more time has passed. The secrets of the trees. See, this is why I ponder these things. Because we're looking at many secrets that lay right in front of us to be found. They're waiting. We know that the image of the tree is central to biblical texts, even in the beginning with the garden. What was there in the midst of the garden? In the midst means middle. Giving you a symbolic story about the tree in the middle of the garden. And of course, there's different stories in the Bible about the trees. There's text in the book of Enoch and a lot of other texts out there about them. I tend, with the exception of the Bible and Book of Enoch, and a number of other texts, I tend to not, if I'm looking for the answer to something, I don't go immediately right away and go look at other philosophers from the past for what they think. I try to come up with my own understanding before I consider what anybody else had to say. Because to me, we're looking at an image of the earth, but only in one way. See, in this image, we're looking at, it's a physical manifestation, as in the wood and the rings of a tree. To me, this almost looks like different realms. And a new realm is always growing from the middle and manifesting outward. I don't know. But in order to understand fantastical things, you have to allow your mind to go to places that are uncomfortable. All right. Let's go back over here for a minute. Number 5, coal formation from plant matter. Direct modern example of trees equals fuel. If you look at coal, I've got some in my front yard actually. If you look at coal, you can tell it's wood. Is that wood or is it not? Wood. And how do they find the coal? Well, in coal veins, of course. Tree roots. The coal is always in veins, which is the roots of the ancient trees of specific types that over time and elemental changes ended up producing this. Other trees ended up producing maybe oil, but this don't look too far off of oil. It's just still more in a solid state. Coal. Just one stage of petrification and transmutation of a tree. Let's look at coal veins. Coal veins. Well, Daniel, that don't look like a root. The whole thing is a root. Or two roots laying side by side that have been weathered and compressed over massive amounts of time, and then drill bits ran down through and dynamite placed into it and blown apart. So it can't look exactly like a root. But ask yourself this. Does that look like wood? Does that look like wood? It does, doesn't it? Of course it does, because it's wood. The secrets of the trees. Okay, got a little bit, maybe better. See if this has got a better image. Possibly. Maybe. Or is it the same one? Same one. See if I click it, if it gives me better. Nope. It does not. It does not. Let's look at visual matches. You don't have to put too much effort into staring at rock once you know the secret. Because once you know the secret, or one of the secrets of the trees, you can now look at rock and realize what you're looking at. The secrets of the trees. Close that. Back to here. Let's go back over to our research document. Chemical comparisons you can display on the screen. Resin / amber rich in peptinoid structures. Kerogen coal. Volcanic rocks, lava, basalt. Dominated by silicate materials. Alternative controversial hypothesis to cite and dramatize. Albiogen, petroleum origin, the idea, some hydrocarbons can form inorganically at depth. You can use this to suggest ways hydrocarbons and deep earth processes might be linked. Presented as a minority hypothesis. Okay, I'll consider that. Volcano formation and mantle processes. First, they tell us there's plate tectonics, mantle melting, hot spots, magma generation that flows all over the world, if you listen to some YouTubers. Let's see. Okay, it's basically repeating itself there. And it's not doing that great of a job in other than a few things as to telling me how to, because I don't think it really wants me to tell this story, of course. Yeah. Other than yep, we've got to look up all of the components and keep in mind that they probably would figure that somebody would come sniffing around one day from the Scooby-Doo gang looking for a secret of the tree. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. So what does that mean? Why is it the tree of knowledge? Why wasn't it the book of knowledge? Why wasn't it the rules of knowledge? Why wasn't it something else? But it's the tree of knowledge. What does a tree have to do with ultimate knowledge of all good and evil? What does a tree have to do with it? Well, we're going to find out in time. But this takes a lot of time to do what I'm setting out to do. Just looking at the rest of what it's kind of telling me here, and I'll have to go back through some of this, of course, and pull out what's useful and flush the rest. Yep. So, I don't know exactly how much. Basically, this is like a thought. Me doing this live like this, it's like a live thought project. I'm focusing on the thoughts. It's like, what does a tree have to do with ultimate knowledge? Brings you to that question, when you start walking down this path. What does a tree have to do with ultimate knowledge of all good and all evil? If nothing else, that is a fantastic question. Ponder. To seek the answer to. Don't you think? I think so. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go for today. I love you. I ask that you continue to support my work. It will allow me to do what I'm already doing and all the other things, plus be able to do the research for not only this documentary, but I've got a couple of others that I'm working on the side a little bit here and there as well. More projects than I have ability or time. So one way you can support this work is by signing up on the website. Let me show you something real quick. And said no promos necessarily in this video, but I did want to point out to you in reference to the Supernatural show. As y'all guys know, we have it's called the Tinfoil Hat Contest going on. Now, if you go to that page now, you will find that there's a form here where you can submit your photos. You click on it. You select what photo you want to add. Find your photos and work on your cell phone as well. Find your photos, and then you just attach them, put them in there. I could just go ahead and just pick one of these. Like our thumbnail for today, right? I can click on that. I can also click on multiples. You can select up to 5 on any one submission, okay? So you can pick 5 different ones if you want. And then attach them. As you can see, it says they're uploading. They've uploaded. You fill out the information here and give me a number where I can get a hold of you when you win, and submit. Hit submit and enter the contest, and all the details and rules and all that are all down here, so you can check that out. Notice that when you get right down here under this one where it says info at contest, there's a little button that doesn't show up real well, and it says read more. If you click that, it will show you all the additional information. Okay, it's all there. This is all just to have fun, and I hope that y'all guys decide to make a tinfoil hat. I didn't say who the hat had to be for. I didn't say it had to be for you. I didn't even say it had to be for a human, or even something that's alive. It could be a hat for something else that needs a tinfoil hat, something else that needs a Faraday cage. You'll see what I mean when you see my hat I'm designing. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys, and let y'all guys have a great day. I love you. And how about sign up to be a member of the website? How about that? Have a great day. I love you. The Supernatural Show, the Supernatural.show.
I've got one that can see.
Logic before authority.